What he did not do was pardon our good sister, our friend Marilyn Mosby. 97,000+ people in this country signed on to a color of change petition supporting a pardon for Marilyn Mosby for withdrawing her own money out of her own retirement account after being in the crosshairs of the Trump administration for many years. And despite Marilyn Mosby having the same prosecutor on her case, Leo Wise, as Hunter Biden did in his case, they could not see a connection.
Tell them why you're mad, sis. What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because this is where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. So I wanted to come on today and talk about Angela Rye and all the hoopla she's given on her podcast because Joe Biden did not pardon Marilyn Mosby. Who is Marilyn Mosby? Marilyn Mosby is Angela Rye's friend who used to be a Baltimore County prosecutor. However, she's now a convicted felon. Angela Rye has been crashing out all year back in 2024 trying to get Marilyn Mosby a pardon, and she did not get one. And now Angela Rye is crashing out on her podcast. I want you guys to watch this. Here we go.
What he did not do was pardon our good sister, our friend Marilyn Mosby. 97,000+ people in this country signed on to a color of change petition supporting a pardon for Marilyn Mosby for withdrawing her own money out of her own retirement account after being in the crosshairs of the Trump administration for many years. And despite Marilyn Mosby having the same prosecutor on her case, Leo Wise, as Hunter Biden did in his case, they could not see a connection.
The reason why they can't see a connection is because Hunter Biden, just like you said, when it happened, Hunter Biden is his kid. Okay? Marilyn Mosby isn't. Marilyn Mosby is a black lady. He don't care about no black woman. Okay? He only put Kamala up there because he knew y'all would think she was a black woman, even though she was an Indian woman. And he would get y'all votes, which he did. So, ma'am, you get what you get. You asked for it.
But I will say I will draw a contrast with that into what Donald Trump's administration does for the people who ride with him, for the people who rode with him up to January 6th to stop the steal, to steal things off of Nancy Pelosi's desk, to wreak havoc to the point where Lisa Blunt Rochester, who is now a black senator in the first from Delaware, to be driven to her hands and knees to pray for their safety against violence of a mob of terrorists, of insurrectionists on January 6th, 2021. He said, I got you. You had my back. I'm going to pardon all of you and commute the sentences of 30+ people for the actions they took on January 6, 2021. Meanwhile, the Biden administration's bar and standard for what it requires for a black person in this country to have gotten a pardon is impossible.
Not Joe Biden, not Jim Crow Joe. Not 94 crime bill, Joe. Not segregated buses. I don't want to desegregate the buses, Joe. Not Joe Biden that spoke at a KKK member's eulogy. Not that Joe Biden. No.
In the White House over the last several weeks is an abomination. And I'm talking about the ways in which black staff, Black appointed officials in the Biden administration had to go to bat for Marilyn Mosby versus the white staff in the administration. Y'all should be ashamed of your goddamn selves.
Why?
Like, truly, there is no reason that you can tell me that an individual who was selling kids virtually to a for-profit entity
Cash for
should have gotten a sentencing commutation, but you can't see the fact that all of the legacy of this administration in justice reform was built on the backs of prosecutors like Marilyn Mosby and Kim Gardner and Kim Foxx and Aramis Ayala and, yes, Kamala Harris. And when in 2020 Kamala Harris was running, Marilyn Mosby had her back to ensure that the general public knew that she was not a top cop.
You just said all that, honey. For what? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to the Democratic Party. They don't care about any of that. Y'all decided to vote Kamala and Jim Crow Joe in. So with that being said, you knew who they were. You know their records. All right. You know Kamala. I'm not doing nothing for black people. No. She didn't do nothing for black people. She kept her word. You know what? She's almost an honest politician because she kept her word. She didn't do not one damn thing the whole 4 years. And then when she lost, those black women that were standing in the Howard University courtyard waiting to hear her speech she didn't even come out for. But yet, you're still here simping for Jim Crow Joe and Kamala because you're going to keep blaming the Trump administration for what happened to Maryland.
So to watch Maryland left to be hung out to dry for this because the people who continued the case were Biden administration appointees,
Democrat.
and they didn't want to leave the judge with egg on her face, and they didn't want to leave Eric Barron with egg on his face. So now the person who actually had our backs is left hanging out to dry. I got major beef with it.
Who is, can you just tell us, you said somebody was selling kids to for-profit. That person got a pardon. Who is that? You said Eric Barron. Sorry, I just for me and the other listeners who don't know what you're referencing, can you tell us who that is?
There is a Cash for Kids scandal that existed in Pennsylvania. If somebody has a moment, particularly on our production team, to look up the name of the judge, it is a very well-known case in the Pennsylvania area. So the U.S. attorney who was appointed after Robert Hur, who was the special prosecutor on the Joe Biden classified documents case, who said he was too old to withstand trial, and Steve Shinning were the bosses of Leo Wise under the Trump administration in the district attorney's office in Maryland. When Joe Biden came in, he appointed a new U.S. attorney by the name of Eric Barron. He is a former state legislator in Maryland. He is someone who Maryland worked hand in hand with. Eric did not drop those charges. I suspect it is because there was going to be a revolt by all the white boys in that office who were under the Trump administration and stayed just like Leo did under Eric.
Now you see how she keeps trying to make this Donald Trump's fault. These are Biden's boys, okay? They don't like y'all. Why she doesn't get this, I don't know. But at the end of the day, she has a history of just doing this, meaning defending Biden for all of his racist antics, okay? That man is a white liberal racist, all right? He just is. She did mortgage fraud. It is what it is.
Eric and the judge both worked for Joe Biden in the Senate. She worked on the ethics committee. Eric worked on the judiciary committee, or worked with Joe Biden. During the Barack Obama transition, Eric went to the transition team and worked to help get Lydia Grigsby her first judicial appointment, which was in the bankruptcy court space. She has no criminal court experience whatsoever, no criminal law experience. That is the judge. Those are two Biden appointees who I suspect, this is not what was reported to me, but I suspect that was the reason, an additional reason beyond this public corruption bucket that they forced her into, that they didn't want to pardon Marilyn.
Ma'am, you can continue to blame Donald Trump and the people that used to work for him. But guess what? He was under Barack Obama, and let's be clear, he could have did it. He did not want to do it. They don't like that woman. They don't like you. They don't like none of y'all, really. They use black women. Black women are sheep, okay, when it comes to the political movements, because they're all emotional. Nothing is about actual policy, all right? You guys let that woman, Kamala, go weeks without even having anything on her website. All right. All she had was a donate button. And you guys let that happen and made excuses for it. As y'all like to say, y'all done effed around and found out. Now, this is not the first time, nor will it be the last. And that's because he's a Democrat. So they make excuses for it. Here we go.
Joe Biden has said things that I think are downright racist. Period. When it comes to black people. Joe Biden has said things in regard, he wrote the 94 crime bill, but guess what? So if I can look at somebody like Joe Biden and say, I disagree with what he said here, what he said there, what he said there, but still say, you know what, but I'll vote for him because of all the other things that he may bring to the table that are good for us.
Joe Biden said the N-word and refused to apologize for it.
I haven't heard Joe Biden apologize for nothing.
But that partially is not true.
Okay.
He said that he wishes he would have handled the Anita Hill thing differently.
He said that 2 weeks ago when he announced he was running for president. That is true. Which is some bullshit.
I'm just saying, let's just acknowledge for what it is. All I'm saying is ultimately what would mean more to me than anything else is the minister saying, you know, there are things that I've said in my past that even out of context, in context or out of context, they shouldn't have been said. Like they're just not necessary. How is it moving they're just like salacious. We can't make it seem like this is just something that we disagree with. Some of it is really hateful.
I think what Joe Biden says is hateful. When you say that Barack Obama is the first mainstream African-American that you've met that is bright, articulate, and clean. That's what you're saying. All the rest of us is dirty? The rest of us not bright? The rest of us not...
That's exactly what he's saying. And just to give context, when Angela Rye says the minister, she's talking about Minister Farrakhan. She is defending Joe Biden over Farrakhan. I'm telling you, these Democrats are delusional.
Yeah, I think that he didn't mean it that way.
That's hateful.
And no, I don't know. And I'm just saying, for somebody who I've worked around him enough to know that he regularly puts his foot in his mouth.
Joe Biden.
Yeah. And I don't think that it was mean-spirited at all. I think that some of the stuff the minister said has been kind of mean-spirited.
You know why I think Joe Biden puts his foot in his mouth?
Jewish people, what?
I think Joe Biden puts his foot in his mouth because he's pretending to be something he's not. And when you're pretending to be something you're not,
I don't think that's what it is.
I think that's what it is. When you're pretending to be something you're not, you always got this facade on, but every now and then that veil falls.
Yeah, Joe Biden's pretending to be not racist.
Senator Harris has said that it contributed to mass incarceration. Why is it Vice President Biden admitting what we're hearing from the former president? The former president who signed it said
look, Victor, if we play the whole clip, what he also said was, that the majority of folks that are incarcerated were incarcerated at the state level.
And there's a reason for that. Let me put up the Truth in Sentencing and Sentence here.
And I mean, there is a reason for that.
But there's a reason. Let me put it up. Let me put it up on the screen, guys. The Truth in Sentencing section of the 1994 crime bill. This is page 21. It incentivized it offered billions of dollars to build new correctional facilities if states would increase the percentage of convicted violent offenders, increase the average prison time, increase the percentage of the sentence was there. Did this bill not incentivize putting more people in jail and keeping them there longer?
Victor, I am not going to sit here and tell you the crime bill was perfect.
You gotta love the bald-headed reasoning between Joyless Reed and Simone Saunders. That bald-headed reasoning is killing them, okay? Because this is a CNN clip back when Joe Biden was running for president. He kept trying to deny that crime bill, and people kept calling him out on it. Joe Biden is a racist, and they don't want to admit it. Bald-headed reasoning won't save you, and Angela Rye and all her Trump delusion won't save her, and it sure enough didn't save her friend, Marilyn Mosby. Last but not least, I just want to give you an update on everything Marilyn Mosby as this saga comes to an end.
Before President Biden left office, he issued a series of pardons, but former Baltimore City State Attorney Marilyn Mosby wasn't on that list. Fox 45's Jeff Abel looks into that decision and what that means for Mosby's case moving forward.
Well, by the time President Biden had left Washington today, he had signed hundreds of pardons and commutations, but Marilyn Mosby was not among them.
Lift up this case, y'all. We are down to the wire.
She on the Baltimore News
Until the very last hour, supporters of former State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby were on social media pleading for a pardon.
We are in the 11th hour, and this woman is on house arrest.
So please send petition and hashtag justice for Marilyn Mosby.
Online, they had scored 97,000 signatures calling on President Biden to pardon Mosby. Last year, a federal jury convicted her of mortgage fraud and 2 counts of perjury.
As if she did something so drastically illegal.
In December, supporters rallied outside the White House. At City Hall, Mosby's ex-husband made a public appeal.
I call on my colleagues throughout the state, I call on anybody else throughout the state to ask President Joe Biden for a pardon.
But by the time President Biden had left Washington today, it was clear he had not left a pardon for Marilyn Mosby. He'd granted dozens of pardons to felons and family members, but he did not grant forgiveness to convicted state's attorney Marilyn Mosby.
Although Marilyn Mosby's team had a lot of momentum going into this endeavor, it was a very unlikely outcome.
Attorney Jeremy Eldridge says Mosby didn't show signs of those who typically are granted pardons.
In order to get a pardon, you're normally looking for the petitioner to be contrite, to be out in the public having made amends. And Marilyn Mosby, in protesting her innocence, has done quite the opposite.
Online, supporters posted a statement writing, "While we're deeply disappointed that Marilyn Mosby did not receive a pardon, the fight is far from over. Justice is a journey, and we remain committed to standing by her and amplifying her truth."
All right, so you guys just saw all of that. So here are my thoughts. Marilyn Mosby did not receive a pardon because the Democratic Party does not care about Black people and they do not care about Marilyn Mosby, okay? She did everything she could to help get Joe Biden and Kamala elected, okay? And Jim Crow Joe left her out to dry because he does not care. He pardoned all types of convicted felons. He pardoned those who sold kids, just like Angela said. Joe Biden even pardoned his son, and we know was on his laptop, okay? However, at the end of the day, all of those people are more important than Marilyn Mosby, and they got their wake-up call. The same thing they like to say to conservatives all the time. Oh, you gonna F around and find out? Yeah, you F'd around and found out that Jim Crow Joe and Kamala don't care about you. So you guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think about Angela Rye again crashing out for her friend. Hopefully this is the end because there's no more pardons to be had. There's no more anything to be had. The Democrats are done. So you guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe. It's your girl Mika, and I'm out. Peace.